Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Kipo and the Age of Wonder Beast, Season 3, Episode 7. So last time we had the raid by Amelia and them on the Hamufa camp, and yeah, a lot of casualties came from that. A lot of notably named characters who we've known for a good portion of the series and have even cared for. It was, without being literally one, it was a bloodbath. And it hurts to see that kind of thing. To see these characters we've known practically killed. Like, yes, they're technically still alive, but they have no, like, sense of self anymore. They have been reduced to just normal animals again, and it's horrible. And I don't know if you can reverse that at this point, even if you get an antidote, because it's not quite the same as like with Song having been turned into a mega monkey. So I don't know. But even Scarlemagne helped out. So even he's proving himself to have kind of been won over by them in a way. But with how big of a loss that was, even if they've gotten a couple people on their side, such as Asher's parents, Asher and Dahlia. Is it Dahlia? I think it's Dahlia. Either way, their parents. It's still overall a loss. Hamufa lost the battle, without question. And now Kipo realizes that the goats were right with their cheese prediction, that she's got to be willing to fight her own people. Even if she doesn't need to kill them or anything, obviously. She doesn't even need to seriously hurt them. But she does need to fight them. She does need to see them as enemies in this regard, because they are. And as much as it hurts her, it's something that she's got to take seriously. She can't just think she can get through to them all. It's not that simple. But we also see that within Amelia's camp now, there is at least one more person who sees the value in the mutes. Now that he has made a friend with one of the raccoons. So that's interesting. I wonder if we're going to see where that goes. But either way, I'm very excited to see more of this. As I've stated before, also very sad to see more of this because of it ending and everything with this season. But it's still been a blast. Season 3 has been like just really nailing it and nailing the just overall like dire circumstances really well. So we're going to get onto it. We're going to check out the episode and hope to enjoy. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. I was not expecting that at all. I know that's the point. It's clearly supposed to come out of nowhere. It's supposed to be really like just a surprising little twist at the end. But it's like, what? I'm definitely interested to see where that goes. But the core and the meat of this episode is that Kipo is angry, and she has a right to be angry with all of the, again, practically deaths that occurred. Like, that's not something you can just get over that easily. And she's so angry that she wants to take it out on Amelia and her army. She doesn't see these as her people anymore. She sees them as a threat that needs to be stopped. Unfortunately, that's not the right way to handle it. It's like, yeah, you have to take them seriously, and yes, you have to, like, maybe even fight them to a degree, but not like that. That's just, she was taking it too far, basically. And, like, everyone realizes that she's taken this too far. Her parents, Dave, Benson, Wolf, and so the latter three try to follow her and to convince her to stop. And this all comes into play when Dave starts telling a story. And that's the core of this episode, Dave's story, and hence why the episode is called Requiem for a Dave. And Dave tells the story about how 200 years in the past, when everything first happened, we don't actually get, like, confirmation that it was, like, some kind of nuclear fallout or anything that caused all of this, but I still think it's pretty easily assumed. We could see that all the humans were, like, running scared from all the mutes that had suddenly propped up and everything. Everything was just starting out. And Dave ended up finding this little, like, handheld fan thing. We've all seen these. A lot of us have used these. I definitely have used quite a few of them. Little handheld battery-powered fan thing. So he has it, but then this other human ends up spotting him and tries to get it from him because it's a hot day out, and I guess, like, you know, that's the most important thing that's going on at the moment. And so this guy ends up having this feud with Dave over the fan where they keep beating each other and taking it back and forth. Eventually he creates his own army, this group of people, almost cult-like, it almost seems. They call themselves the Fanatics, which, fanatics, it's just like, my God. And their group is, like, entirely dedicated to making sure that they win back and keep the fan. So the two sides go out, and apparently there's more Daves as well at this time. I guess probably, like, since he's an insect, probably an entire, like, colony of these insects all mutated at the same time into the same kind of mute and everything. It's very possible. And apparently they're all named Dave or some kind of variation of Dave, like David. It's interesting. But we see that over the generations, for 200 years, these two sides feud over this fan. Which, my thoughts are, first of all, this tiny little handheld fan, for one, you're finding batteries to keep it powered this entire 200 years? Like, I think eventually you would run out of batteries, but I don't know, maybe you just keep finding enough of them because people stopped using them and shit, I don't know. But also, over 200 years, I would think that thing would degrade and break down. I don't think that thing would work over the course of 200 years anymore. Just saying. Now, I'm not necessarily downing his story. In fact, I actually think his story is correct, and it's just, you know, cartoon logic. But at the same time, it's like, maybe it's just because of the way I think. I just, like, think, like, that I don't think that would work like that. I don't think that would still be in working condition. Usually those, like, little handheld battery-powered fan things are not that well made. They're usually, like, these little things you can get at, like, a gas station or whatnot. They're pretty cheap. You can get them for, like, what, $2, $3 maybe? They're not gonna last that long. And if these two sides were going at it that long, you know they've probably dropped it and thrown it a couple times. It's probably taken some beatings as well. and the constant use over the course of that 200 years, there's no way it would be working. I'm sorry, but there's a certain level where it's like, okay, that's just too unbelievable. But cartoon logic. So they keep feuding, and eventually they figure out the secret of how to actually kill a Dave, which is really interesting, that there is actually a way to kill Daves. Because we thought he was kind of immortal because of, he just keeps being reborn and aged through and everything. But apparently he can be killed, which is really interesting to know. And it's not in a way that destroys the body or anything either. So that's really curious. But eventually all the Daves were killed except for our Dave. And he ended up continuing to fight for the fan and everything, until eventually there was only one fanatic left too, and it was Benson. And we don't find out what happened with the others, or even Benson's parents, who we assume were also in that cult. And so it's that's also kind of sad that it's basically, by the fact that he's the last one, you can assume they're dead. But it's that's really sad that he's been on his own and everything. He looked like he was pretty young then. But he and Dave ended up getting trapped in these traps next to each other that they both set up. And they have to work together to get out, after which Benson, noticing Dave has reverted back to a baby again, decides to show some mercy and be on his, and to let him join him and everything. And they bond over food and just stop their fighting. And this episode doubles as a backstory to finally tell us how Dave and Benson met, as well as give us some history on their characters, which was definitely needed because we still hadn't had that. But it also doubles as, a story to tell Kipo about how humans and mutes can coexist, and how this endless fighting doesn't do anything but hurt people and mutes. And so Kipo continues to go to the boat, but when there, she reveals that the story did get to her, and she tells them, I came here to take you out like you took out my friends, but I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm inviting you to prom. And it's just oh. So she's going to be putting on a human mute prom, probably back at the Timbercats place. But what is going to happen with Amelia? Because, she's not going to go for this. The rest of them, most of the rest of them probably will. But I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. I'm just genuinely curious as to where this is going to go, because this is just so unexpected. But there's only 3 episodes left. So they've really got to nail in the ending here. I can see this going one of 2 ways in regards to Amelia. Either she just refuses and tries to fight them still, and the rest of them go with Kipo, or Amelia pretends to go with it and then tries to stab them in the back when she's in their hideout and everything. It's got to be one of those 2 things. But I'm definitely excited to see where this goes and how it ends. We have 3 more episodes. We'll probably do the last 2 episodes together, as we typically do. But yeah, I'm very, very interested to see how this ends. But also, again, as I've been stating, I'm sad to see it end, because I enjoy this series a lot. It's such an underrated show, and I don't want it to be over. But all good things must come to an end, and this is definitely a good thing. So tell me in the comments below, what did you think of episode 7 of season 3 of Kipo and the Age of Wonder Beasts? What did you think of Dave's story? Do you think, like me, it was embellished just a little bit, but still mostly true? Or do you think that he was making a lot of it up? Let me know. And thank you so much once again for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.